Welcome to Ej-artclass.com. This is Evan from the Edge project, and I'll be taking you through today's tutorial. Today we're looking at logos and logo design, and this is mainly for people starting up small businesses or websites who don't have spare cash to spend on graphic designers or marketing professionals. Okay, a lot of people starting up websites at the moment are using online logo creators or logo makers or logo generators. The problem with that, with so many people using these generators, they do produce similar results, which is exactly what you don't want when you're creating your logos. You want them to be unique, and you want them to stand out as much as possible. So we're going to show you a quick way to make unique and professional looking logos for free, without having to know too much about image editing. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is an image editing software. I prefer to use Adobe Photoshop just because it's really easy to use. Gives me everything I need for graphic design work as well as visual artwork. If you open up Ej-artclass.com, head on over to the resources tab. We've got a couple of links down here that we'll be using today for our tutorial. You can get a free 30-day trial of Adobe Photoshop through this link down here for the Adobe website, which is great if you're only going to be doing a few logos on a few websites. If you're going to be doing a lot of this type of work, it's definitely worth investing in a copy of Photoshop. It really does save you a lot of time and money down the track if you don't want to be paying graphic designers to create your logos for you, especially if you know how to do it yourself, which is not very hard at all. This is the other website we'll be using, openclipart.org. They provide free clip art for commercial use, which is exactly what we want when we're working with other people's images to create a base point for our logos. So we don't want to get caught up in any copyright issues using other people's images. Okay, so the first step, open up Notepad, and we want to take down a few details for our logo we'll be making. I'll be making a car manufacturer logo, just as an example for this tutorial, and they'll specialize in powerful muscle cars. Alright, and after we've got that, we want to jot down a few keywords related to our theme to create, or to help us out when we're hunting for our clip art. Okay, so I'm going to type in racing flag, maybe a lion to go with the powerful theme, grab some grass to tie the lion in with the whole theme. I'll just be using that as a texture, so I'll be showing you how to work with filters, and also a gradient for our background. Okay, so once we've got this, we want to open up Ej-artclass.com, head on over to resources tab, go down here and open up openclipart.org. Okay, so once we have openclipart.org open, we want to create a few folders to save our clip art images in. So open up a directory where you want to save your logo, create a folder named complete logo, and a folder named reference images. Okay, open up openclipart.org, and we're just going to use this list we created down here to grab a couple of images to use as a base point for our logos. So I want a racing flag. Grab this one here. So just open up in a new tab. I need a lion. This one down here. I need grass. Let's grab that. And a gradient for my background. We go with this one here. Okay, so once you have your new tabs open up here, you want to right click and save image as. And these are PNG images, which means that the white space around the image is actually empty space. You'll be able to layer them really easily without having to worry about erasing any layers. So I got reference images. You want to save one at a time. And once that's done, you want to open up Photoshop. Go in here, new image. I like to make a square image, especially if you're doing a logo. Or if you're doing website banners, you might want to go with a rectangular shape, maybe a wider width, maybe 60, something like that. So I'm just going to make a square logo at the moment, and I have to rush through this really quickly to make this a short video. Okay, so once we have our image set up, we are going to locate our folder where we saved our images. Highlight all the reference images you just saved from openclipart.org, and they'll open up in new windows up here. So what we want to do pretty much is just drag and drop all these images onto our empty canvas up here. So we're going to use V for move, just drag and drop one at a time, and you can see how they're layering with empty space. That's the PNG images. So if you want empty space in your logos, just make sure to save them as a PNG image and not a JPEG, because that does flatten the image and it won't be see-through, or it'll have a white background or whatever you had in the background there. Okay, once that's done, we'll drag our image back up here, close these off. Alright, so now we have all our layers here with different images. I'll show you the 3 tabs we're going to be using today. This is the layers tab. This is all the images stacked on top of each other. You can change the ordering, change which one's on top or below of the other ones. This is the first effects panel we'll be using today. So it just opens up and you get all these different effects for your layers, and they just affect how the image is affecting the layers underneath it. Okay, the other image, other filter or effects panel we'll be using is image adjustments, hue and saturation. This is the main one we'll be using just to change color, tone and brightness. Great for changing the whole image at the end as well, if you want a different look. The other one we're using is filter, and all of these effects panels down here, they drop out, got different options down here. They just affect what the image actually looks like, so you can blur it, you can warp it, change it up and just distort it a little bit if you like. Okay, so let's jump into it. The first thing I want to do is turn my layers off, restack them as well. So I'm going to be doing a background first. I'll change the color of my background to a light grey color. G for paint bucket. There we go. V for move tool. Just going to drag this gradient into place. Hit Control T for free transform. And when you're doing transform, you can hold shift if you want to keep the dimensions without warping it. So if you let go of shift, you can warp it all around like that. But if you shift, you can lock it into place. Hit enter. Okay, so our gradient's like that. I'm going to use my first effects panel, which is filter. So I want to change how this image actually looks, because this is a clip art image. I don't want it standing out as a clip art image I've just grabbed off the internet, especially when I post it up as my final logo. So what I'm going to do is go to filter. I am going to give it a pixelate effect, maybe fragment. Yep, that looks good. Alright, and already you can't tell it's a clip art image that I've just grabbed off that site. So we're using images that you're allowed to use commercially, but we're changing them up so they look completely different as well. I'm going to turn my next layer on, use V to get into place, Control T for free transform. I'm just going to scroll it down, move it around, put it there. And now I'm going to use my second effects panel, image adjustments, hue and saturation. Alright, the hue changes what color it is. Slide it up and down through the scale. Saturation shows how much color is actually in the image. Light and dark just changes the brightness pretty much. So I'm going to go with a teal kind of color, like that. I'm going to add a filter to it. I might give it a blur. It's a racing flag, so I'll give it a motion blur. And you get these other panels coming up where you can actually change how much or which direction the effect is affecting the image with. I'll blur it up a bit like that, just a bit smoky effect. I'm going to chuck my grass layer on, and remember I have to make this very quick. It would look a lot better if I spent maybe 3 or 4 hours on it, But this is just to show you guys how easy it is and how quickly you can make unique logos without using generators that are going to give you similar results to other companies. Alright, so I've got my grass in place here. I'm going to use my image adjustments, hue and saturation, change the color a little bit, dark purple or something. That looks good. I'm also going to give it a filter. I might distort it a little bit. There we go, ripple. Give it a little ripple like this, so it doesn't look like the image I just grabbed. And now I'm going to show you the third effects panel we'll be using, which is the layers panel down here. So you can highlight this panel and just use your mouse button or your arrows to scroll down. So you see different effects. As I scroll down through these effects here, it just changes how the image is affecting the layers underneath it. So I want to blur this up a little bit, make it blend in a bit more. Then I'm going to grab my lion, drag him into place here. I'm not going to use the whole body, so I'll just erase that. I could be doing that with a mask as well, but this is a very quick video and I'll be showing more tutorials on how to use Photoshop in the future. I want my lion to actually stand out a bit more, so I'm going to go image adjustments, hue and saturation, drag the brightness up all the way so he's white, just so he stands out on this dark background here. And now I can add text. Another thing people are using online are text generators for their titles, which is something you don't want to do. If you're seeing the same fonts and the same titles used on heaps of different websites, it sort of kills your your chances to stand out a bit more. So this Photoshop does have a text tool down here. I can click in here. I'm going to give my car manufacturer a name to go with the lion. So I'll go Pride Motors. That'd be alright. You can change the size of the font, which font you have as well. All different effects up there. I just want to make this very quick. You can use V, slide it around. Control T for free transform. Drag it into place. You can also give effects. Now this is where the title generators might be more attractive to people who don't know how to use Photoshop, but you can use the exact same excuse me, you can use the exact same concepts I just showed you to create titles. So if you didn't want something that was so sort of plain, you could go up to openclipart.org. Say if you wanted, like, some of the title generators have lightning bolts through them or flames or something like that. You can always go in here, grab a lightning bolt, save it off, drag and drop, and slash it through the title here, and just add effects to it so it blends in a bit more. So I'm going to have to leave it there. Like, this would look a lot better if I spent a few hours on it, but this has to be a very quick tutorial. We'll be uploading more tutorials in the future on how to use Photoshop, but for now I'll just show you how to save this off as well. Make sure you always save the PSD file, which is the Photoshop file. Saving it as a Photoshop file keeps all your layers separated, so you can always open it up and change the position of different images or titles if you didn't like the position later on. Alright, so I'm going to go up here, locate my complete logo folder, save off logo design. I might save it as Pride Motors logo, and it's saving as a PSD up here. So that's very important if you want to be able to change this later on if you're not happy with it. So you don't want to have to come back and redo the whole image. You can always come back here and go, I didn't like the grass there, I can always turn that off, or I can add different effects. You can always change it up later on. And then you want to go up here, save as JPEG. If you're doing a flat image, you want to save it as JPEG. You won't have any empty space in it, so you won't be able to see through the gaps. And another thing you want to do, if you have sort of PNG images, if you want empty space in this background here, so if I rub a hole through this like that, if I posted that onto a website after saving it as a PNG, you would be able to see text or images or whatever you had on the website behind that. You'd be able to see through the gap, but I don't like to look at that at all. Okay, that's pretty much it for the tutorial. Keep an eye on Ej-artclass.com. We'll be uploading a lot more tutorials very soon, mostly on Photoshop and drawing, digital images, as well as traditional media. You can follow us on Facebook or Twitter up here, and YouTube as well. Alright, thanks for watching. This is Evan with the Edge Project. See ya.